Would you really have given up all of this just for me?
Of course. If you like, we can give it all up now.
Nah.
I'm Hannah McGregor.
I'm Racquel Gates.
And this is Hot and Bothered. Today, Racquel, we are going to talk about the final scene of Coming to America. And we'll see how much I want to spend talking about that dress, because honestly, I did think it slapped.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to summarize it briefly first. So Lisa has said no to Akeem, and Akeem has returned to Zamunda, basically saying, like, my heart has been broken, and so I will just marry the person my parents have told me I am going to marry. There's a big, beautiful wedding. The bride is there in a veil, but then he lifts the veil and surprise, it's Lisa. And she does a fun little shimmy and they make out maybe a little longer than one might at a wedding, but it's their reunion, so it's fine. And then they get into a very Cinderella-coated carriage, and she looks around and says, you would have given this up for me? And he's like, do you want me to? I still will. I love you. And she goes, nah. And then the movie's over. That nah delivery, I gotta say.
You know, knowing that Sherry Headley was not John Landis's choice, I think he wanted Vanessa Williams, I think. Okay. And Eddie Murphy really pushed for Sherry Headley, and he was like she's just got this New York thing. Like, she just, I feel like it all comes in the delivery of that final word.
Yeah, it's really good. So let's talk about what this conclusion contributes to what the movie believes about love.
Okay.
This is our happily ever after.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much the fairy tale of love conquers all, and love conquers class differences, love conquers outdated traditions, love can bring people together. Love is the happy ending for everybody.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, I have so many questions at the end of this movie, but one of them is like, so Lisa's just fine just moving to this country
Right.
where she doesn't know anybody.
Some of my questions are like, oh, so like her friends don't get to come to the wedding. Where's Patrice? Where's her sister? I'm sure she would have wanted her to be there. Although her dad is there.
The question I'm screaming at the laptop, where's Patrice?
Look, Patrice is back home with Daryl. Like, Patrice is fine. She'll come out later.
Patrice is fully happy to just get that soul glow fortune.
Yeah, Patrice was always going to be fine. I'm not worried about her. But, yeah, I mean, like, where's Lisa's family? Also, it always strikes me as a little like a dissonant note, because so much of Lisa's character has been when Daryl says to her, why do you work? You don't have to work. My lady doesn't have to work. And now she's going to go be a figurehead in Zamunda. It doesn't seem like that's any different of a fate. I mean, I remember, this sounds like I'm lying, but I swear when I was a kid and I saw this in a theater, I remember thinking like, but now she doesn't get to have a career, right? Because we all know that princesses, they don't work. They don't get to have their own ambitions. I remember feeling a little something about that.
Yeah. The most sense I can make of it is that the nah is almost like breaking the fourth wall and speaking to any sort of realist narrative concerns we as viewers might have. Yeah. That we're like, well, but what about everything? And it's just like, come on, look at this. This is great. Just shh.
Yeah. I remember when we saw this in the theater, I remember saying to my mom, like, what does she do now? Like, does she still work? Like, what happens? My mom's like, she'll find some career there. Like, she'll find something good to do.
I'm sure being a queen will keep her very busy.
I'm sure she'll start a program, like some kind
of having her butt wiped by other people.
Yes.
I mean, presumably that behavior is going to return, right? Do they now just get both bathed by royal bathers.
I'm trying to remember if they address this in the sequel. I don't. No, honestly,
I haven't watched the sequel, but Sherry Headley returns, doesn't she?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a thing you don't get once you get married. Maybe it's. I have no. Oh no, because the dad does. Because King Geoffrey Jaffer refers to that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, he at one point says, "Are you having sex with the bathers?"
I know I
because
do.
I do.
And he says it present tense. Yeah, look, we won't think about that too much.
Yeah. No. But there's definitely and we can in part chalk this up to the 1980s of it all.
Yeah.
But there is a real sense that she has sacrificed everything and he has sacrificed nothing.
But there's also a way I will say, the reveal of her dad coming from off screen and then he puts his elbow up on the throne. I do think that what the film does is implies that, no, she's actually not leaving everything behind. This is not like an Ariel and the Little Mermaid situation where she's got to wave goodbye to her entire community to go off, with the prince. That her dad is moving to Zamunda. And I know that in some publicity stills that I've seen for the film, the barbershop guys are there too at the wedding. That we don't see it in the movie, but I've definitely seen some publicity stills where they are at the wedding, the whole community is there. And so I kind of choose to roll with that as the idea of Queens is just coming to Zamunda.
Yeah, they're just all relocating. Yeah, Randy Watson's finally gonna have his breakthrough. You can do a collab with Oha. With Oha, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. So something that, we've referenced it a little bit in the last episode, as well as in my summary of this scene, but there's something really interesting aesthetically going on in this Happily Ever After, in that it is so different from the aesthetics of the engagement party at the beginning, down to, the carriage, the dress, right? Lisa's dress feels very Disney coded, a little bit Princess Diana coded. We've got a kind of Western princess aesthetic signifying Lisa's Happily Ever After here.
It's very white. It's just very white for all the reasons that you just said. I think it's made legible to us via especially Disney. It's very Cinderella. Even the end scene of Cinderella, you mentioned the Cinderella carriage. At the end of Cinderella, all of the little barnyard animals and the mice that she's been with, they come to the wedding too. And so I feel there's a way that that's kind of the model for the end of this film as well. But yeah, it's a different type of spectacle than what we got with the engagement scene, which was very dynamic and has that amazing choreography by Paula Abdul and the score by Nile Rodgers.
Oh my God, is that Paula Abdul did the choreo for that? That's incredible.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And it just has a very different type of energy than what we get in the wedding scene, which is much more traditional and conventional. And it's that is what we are, quote unquote, supposed to get at the end of a big Paramount romantic comedy, which is this type of wedding scene.
Yeah, so this carriage, this very sort of Disney-fied wedding conclusion. Can we talk more about this sort of remarkable pink prom dress she's wearing? I love it. I love it. It's so silly. It's a huge pink dress.
It's huge and it's gorgeous, and Sherry Headley looks amazing in it. What I think is really interesting is the reason that the dress is pink and not white, which Deborah Nadelman Landis, who is the costume designer for the film, and she says in one of the interview segments for one of the DVDs that she, in talking to John Landis and the cinematographer, they say it like it's a fact. You can't have Eddie Murphy's brown skin in the same frame as a white garment and be able to light it properly. That it cannot be done.
They couldn't light a white dress.
So that's what they say. Now, if you look at, I don't know, any Black
that's not true.
It's not true.
It's obviously not true.
Go watch Julie Dash's Daughters of the Dust. It's Black women of various shades in white dresses on the beach. That's the movie.
Yeah.
But the solution they come up with is not ooh, sounds like we need to go find a different cinematographer. No, they don't do that. They change the color of the dress. And so it's actually the costume designer who comes up with a solution to this problem, which wasn't really a problem, which is we'll make it pink. And she says it will give her Barbie pink. And so I just find it really interesting that you have this kind of subverted like fantasy, because you can't have the white wedding dress, even though everything else there is completely traditional along Western standards, that the way that Blackness functions within Hollywood is to me that you can't actually even have that because the cinematographer can't figure out how to light Eddie Murphy in a white wedding dress. So we get the pink wedding dress instead, which I just, I kind of love that as an anecdote.
It's a really interesting anecdote, and it makes me think about what you write in the introduction to Double Negative. I mean, about the Ava DuVernay Barbie and about the limitations of representation.
Yeah.
Right. So this idea that like just representing a Black woman, we can't assume that representation does a particular kind of political work.
Right.
We need to think about how people are actually engaging with those representations. Like, how are people playing with this Barbie?
Right. I mean, and understanding as well, of course, the importance of role models, right? And the significance of Ava DuVernay as a role model for Black women and girls who want to be directors, and that's signified by the Barbie. But understanding that images and role models don't do the work unto themselves if you don't have an actual healthy sort of infrastructure underneath it to sort of support, the development of Black talent. And I think with Coming to America, what we see is like, well, you have these Black people in this fabulous wedding, but the actual infrastructure of like cinematography, of lighting is rooted in whiteness. It's so rooted in whiteness that they literally can't give these characters the scene as it was written.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And simultaneously understanding that so much of what makes this movie interesting and what's made it, like the pieces of it that have aged well, are the pieces that have to do with the power that Eddie Murphy had on set, with his ability to influence casting choices, with his ability to, get a movie, a predominantly Black cast, an entirely Black cast.
I mean, with the exception of like Louis Anderson, with the exception of
you're right.
The cab driver
he does talk.
And the woman at the money order place, right? I mean, that's
the money order
she's
place.
Great. Yeah. That's about it, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So that final scene, it's the kind of text that you do want to like write a whole article about. It's just like that one scene of Lisa in the pink dress, and it's like, what are the layers that exist under this very cinematic, picturesque happily ever after, and that like you actually can't understand this scene just reading it as a story. You've got to also understand it as a media production, and what is going into the media production of the film itself.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, so we're talking about the wedding scene, but when we're talking about the end of this movie, we can't ignore that there is this very important sort of mid-credits scene where we return to Saul. As a reminder, Saul is Eddie Murphy's character in Whiteface, the sort of elderly Jewish man.
Listen, stop right there a minute. Man goes into a restaurant. You listening? A man goes into a restaurant. He sits down, he's having a bowl of soup. He says to the waiter, come, taste the soup. Waiter says, is there something wrong with the soup? He says, taste the soup. He says, there's something wrong with the soup. Is the soup too hot? He says, will you taste the soup? It's wrong. Is the soup too cold? Will you just taste the soup? All right, I'll taste the soup. Where's the spoon? Aha. Aha.
And a point that you make in the book that is one of those like, oh yes, of course, media history, is that for viewers, for you in the theater and in general for viewers at the time, they wouldn't have known that was Eddie Murphy in doing that performance, that is a reveal at the end in the credits, that the degree to which Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall are playing all of these characters is like revealed in the final credits. And like for me, it wasn't a reveal because I'm on IMDb the whole time I'm watching the movie. So I missed this like big reveal. But can you talk a little bit about the sort of like revelatory nature of the final credits, and then why that scene is dropped into the credits alongside that revelation?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, I so remember when the end credits rolled in the movie theater when I saw it. It was just such a great moment. It will be in my head, forever. The end credits start rolling, and I always love an end credit sequence that is like a roll call of everybody who was in the movie. I love that. I mean, you get that at the end of Citizen Kane, with Orson Welles, where he's like, here are all the players. It's just great. you have this kind of reveal of all like kind of the major characters and supporting characters, and then you start getting to the other characters that Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall also played. And you get to Eddie Murphy as Saul, and there's just like a delay before Eddie Murphy's name kind of pops up. Like his name pops up in the credits right when he starts the joke.
Yeah, you know it's him as he's telling the joke because it's this like he's showing off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's a flex.
It's a flex. No, it's definitely a flex. The reason I was hesitating a little because actually in different DVD releases, the end credits don't all roll the same way, which has been a bit of a thing I've encountered, and so they don't all function the same way. But I remember being in the theater, and when the end credits started, I remember my mom. She leaned down and she's like, pay attention, to who played who. And she said it with this like very conspiratorial, like kind of wink and a nod. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going to happen?
I love that. I love your mom teaching you media literacy in real time.
Listen,
it's really tender.
I have always said that if you grow up in a Black household, you are an expert in critical media studies because that's just what has to happen. And I remember that moment in the theater when it is revealed that Saul was played by Eddie Murphy, and the whole crowd, like the entire theater, just gasped. I mean, it was legit a shock. People don't believe me when I say that now, but it was. I mean, maybe some people got it, I guess, but it was honestly like it was a shock.
Yeah, and it does. In terms of what we were talking about in the last episode, that tension between the A plot and the B plot, that idea of like, it's a rom-com on the surface, but underneath it's actually this sketch comedy. Yeah. The fact that like we end with this happily ever after Barbie pink Disney scene, and then the actual last scene is the delivery of this joke.
Yeah.
It does feel like this sort of final one-upping.
It feels like if there is a battle between John Landis and Eddie Murphy over like what type of movie this is just like the battle in my head. But it feels like the comedy wins out, like it is firmly entrenched as a comedy and as kind of a collection of sketches and as an Eddie Murphy, not just a vehicle, but really just like an opportunity for him to show off all of the things that he can do with, his performance of Saul, I think being the capstone.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about what is there in the end of this movie. If you could rewrite the ending of this movie, what would happen?
If I could rewrite the ending?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Like which end? Do you mean like the joke or do you mean like the
wedding scene? But you know what? Either. Anything.
The only thing I would like would be to see some cutaways to tell us what happened with the other characters. That's the, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing. I worry about Imani and like what happened with her. I want to make sure people are okay. That's the only thing. And I said before that there were publicity stills that show the barbers at the wedding. I would love to like have a cutaway to see them there, but yeah, I don't know that I'd change anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I wrote down was more Patrice. I want Patrice at the wedding. I want Patrice in a incredible outfit at the wedding. I mean, Patrice's clothes.
I want Patrice sitting in the front row, like straightening Daryl's tie. Like clearly they're there together. You know what I'm saying? And he's looking dour because he's got to watch, Lisa marry the goat herder that he's, made fun of. I want a scene where she's there looking fabulous and she's like, you need to sit up because we're like royals now. I would like that.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Racquel, for joining us for both of these episodes. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was I could talk about this all day long. So, yeah.
Next week, Vanessa and a special guest, not me, are going to be watching Crazy Rich Asians. You've been listening to Hot and Bothered. We're a small show, so we need your support to run. If you can, please consider supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/hotandbotheredrompod. Love the show? Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're a Not Sorry production. Our executive producer is Vanessa Zoltan. We're edited and produced by Ariana Nettleman, and we're distributed by Acast. As always, Thanks to our soulmate level patrons, Molly Reilly, who we would chase through an airport to declare our love to, Becky Boo, who we would wait for hours in the Empire State Building for, Elizabeth Schweinsberg, whose heart we would play a game of one-on-one basketball for, and Lauren Baer O'Connell, who we would call up on stage to dance with us in front of the whole summer camp. And thanks to our team, Julia Argy, Nikki Zoltan, AJ Yaramas, Courtney Brown, and Stephanie Paulsell.